Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay. Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the We Keep On Winning edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning everybody in Sioux Falls, KMBN in western South Dakota, and all parts in between at Inforum.com. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the 17th of February, 2026. Packed show on tap for us here today. Welcome to the show on a brilliant Tuesday. It's turning the other way because I've heard this term now a couple times over the last few days. We had fake spring, evidently, for the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 days. Been fantastic. Snow pile at my house is almost gone, and just in time for it to be reborn again, apparently coming later tonight, early tomorrow. So full preps aware of that. If you're traveling for the Bison game tomorrow, NDSU plays in Brookings. I think actually you're more rain south, although there probably is going to be some snow that way. So just heads up on that if you're heading for Summit, South Dakota, certainly tomorrow, where it snows in July for the Bison men's game with NDSU, which we'll chat about that coming up in the second hour of our show. Lots going on here. Tournament time is here. EDC Boys Hockey Tournament starts tonight at individual home sites, with the semifinals taking place on Friday, and then state qualifiers in the EDC Championship Saturday up in Grand Forks. So that is underway. The state wrestling tournament begins in earnest on Thursday. Looking forward to that with streaming coverage of every match you will see for the second year in a row coming up beginning on Thursday, then the individual finals on Friday, and the dual championships on Saturday. So it has begun for the next 6 weeks of tournament action happening here between the two states, and we are ready to get you ready for that, including a biggie tonight in EDC basketball. Davies and West Fargo Horace playing tonight, two of the top teams on the boys basketball side in this state in 2A. We'll preview that coming up later on in our program today. We'll also chat. Today is a big day on the north side of Fargo because it's like meet and greet day. The Mountain West Conference is here. First time they have set foot in the state of North Dakota. Let's just say that. I think we were pretty much can say that without any impunity on that. The commissioner, Gloria Navarez, is here. Assistant Commissioner John Sullivan is here. Basically touring Fargo, NDSU, the Dome, the whole 9 yards. So we'll have a chance to talk with the commissioner later today. We'll have segments of that for the show tomorrow and going forward. So intrigued to see what they have to say. You know, we had Commissioner Navarez on the show last week and said hadn't been here. Now getting that done. So that's happening today. Basically, it's putting on your best suit to show off for for people coming in. It's having visitors come in and look at your house. Like, you want it to look spick and span as best you can. So we'll check in on that and talk about that coming up later on in our show. Also, the draft hype is underway. If you're not apparently on the Cole Payton hype train, it may have already left the station. We'll detail that coming up in just a little bit as well. But we have our Olympic update we can give you, which is all of about a minute because that's all we're allowed to show you from Milan. The men's hockey tournament will resume today. We'll tell you about that in a second. The women's hockey tournament is down to its final two. And no surprise, it's same old in women's hockey. The United States and Canada will play for the gold medal. The U.S., while we were on the air yesterday, beat the brains in of Sweden, where 5 different goal scorers scored for the United States in a game. You'll remember the Swedes beat the Americans 20 years ago in this tournament. It wasn't happening yesterday. Kayla Barnes got the scoring started there, make it one rip. Taylor Heisey flying in here, nifty pass across to Abby Murphy, the star from the University of Minnesota, makes it 2-0. Later, Murphy scores again. I mean, that's a no-angle shot there. Made it 3-0. Kendall Coyne has been sensational. Her third of the tournament. 5 different goal scorers for the Americans. They beat Sweden 5-0. It's them and Canada for the gold medal Thursday in Milan. Meanwhile, the men's hockey tournament resumed at about 5 a.m. this morning with 2, they call them qualification games. Switzerland beat the Italians, and Germany beat France in the 5-12 and 6-11 game. So we have 2 quarterfinals set for tomorrow. Germany and Slovakia will start things bright and early at 5 a.m. The Swiss will play Finland at 11. The Americans will wait the winner of Sweden and Latvia. That comes up this afternoon just after 2. And then Canada will play the winner of Czechia and Denmark, which starts in about 40 minutes' time. One way or the other, let's just bank on the fact that Sweden is going to beat the Latvians, that the Minnesota Wild are going to get some of their players back a heck of a lot earlier maybe than they thought, because the Swedes, 2 of their goalies for the Wild are both on the Swedish team. Eric Sedek plays, and obviously the Americans have 3 Minnesota Wild players as well. So one way or the other, some are heading back to the States after tomorrow's game between We're counting Sweden to beat Latvia, although can't ever count anybody out, but we'll see what happens there. The Olympic medal count here is we're down to the final 5 days of the games. The U.S. added 2 more medals yesterday, including a gold in bobsled and a bronze in women's bobsled, which is fantastic. Alana Myers-Taylor, at 41 years old, won the gold medal in women's bobsled. So they are sitting third, 1 clear of Japan. Norway keeps on racking up medals. I just watched them win another one in cross-country skiing, which is their jam. They have 29 total, 13 golds. The Italians having the best games they've ever had hosting this. And that typically happens when the home country typically overperforms. Just whatever it is of playing at home and to the fans, inspired, whatever you want to say. That typically has happened. The Italians are certainly raking it in here. 8 golds, 4 silvers, 11 bronze. Figure skating, the big thing happening today in Milan, and obviously the second round of the hockey tournament. So that's your Olympic update. Well, that's all we're allowed to do for about a minute and a half here before NBC comes to unplug us. Now, we've had plenty of chatter on realignment here over the last, obviously, couple weeks with the news of NDSU and the FBS, but something we have paid attention to, and I think the overtures have gotten louder. You'll remember on Friday, we discussed the rather innocuous story that came out, and maybe I made it more than it is with a tweet that I put out, that North Dakota State, North Dakota, South Dakota State, South Dakota announced a basketball series in men's hoops for the next 4 or 5 years with teams from Montana, Montana State, Idaho, and Idaho State. And it went so far that the league office actually issued a statement Friday or Thursday afternoon saying that these schools did it on their own, independent of the conference, because we were told that the other league members, Omaha, St. Thomas specifically, were pretty PO'd that this happened and they weren't aware of it because everybody needs games. And so that's the little bit of backstory to this next comment we're going to play from Gary Sharp, who was on yesterday with Hurrdat Sports, which is based out of Omaha. Gary Sharp is the men's play-by-play basketball guy for Omaha and has covered Omaha forever, so he knows ins and outs better than anybody on this. Listen to what he had to say about what Omaha and the Summit League are right now.
I'm worried about the Summit League. You know, it's been a league since Omaha's been in it, and this is their 15th year. It's a league that's dominated by the Dakotas, and you have to be very wary of that. But remember, Denver is leaving to go to the WCC, so the WCC lost Gonzaga. but they still have Santa Clara and St. Mary's, and now Denver is taking everything to the WCC. So the Summit League is down to 8 teams. They've approached a couple of teams like Lindenwood and Western Illinois that have declined to join the league. You've got North Dakota State now playing football in the Mountain West. You got Kansas City, you got Oral Roberts, you got some major markets, you got St. Thomas, who a lot of people are looking 10 years down the road. Are they a candidate for the A10? Are they a candidate for the Big East because of how they're growing in the market that they're in? I think Omaha has to keep their options open. I think there's some advantages of being in the Summit League, but there's also, I think Omaha wants to take their athletic program to the next level. They announced the huge project that is already funded for an athletic facility that they've never had. So, it's been a while since they've been Division I. They've got great facilities, baseball, softball, Baxter Arena, but now they're going to have everybody under one roof, and they're going to start to act like a true Division I athletic program and trying to move it forward. And it helps to have the foresight of Adrian Dow as their athletic director that can see down the road. I think they're always looking. I think they like the Summit League, but there's a lot of people that are interested in Omaha athletics and the Omaha market.
All right, so let's peel back this. Excellent stuff there from Gary, and really troubling for the conference. First, and McFeely and I had heard this as well through third party, that the Summit League had reached out to Lindenwood, and Lindenwood said no. Lindenwood's a private school located outside of St. Louis that you remember now with the new agreement with the Summit and the Mo Valley in football, that if you have football and you're admitted into the Summit League, then you immediately come into the Missouri Valley Football Conference. That notwithstanding, they said no. Maybe more disturbing is Western Illinois said no. That's according to Gary, and I don't doubt what he's been told. Gary's plugged in. He knows what's going on. So let's start there, that Lindenwood and Western Illinois said no to the league. Because you remember, Denver's out come July 1. The league will be down to 8 members. 8 is not a great spot to be in. It just isn't. So that's disconcerting. To go on top of the fact that there's already members, and you could clearly hear it from Gary, that there is a Dakota's bias. The league office is in Sioux Falls. Obviously, that basketball agreement, while independent of the conference, has certainly rankled feathers with Omaha, Oral Roberts, St. Thomas, Kansas City. You can understand why they might be feeling unloved, is maybe the best way to say it. And inevitably, and we've talked about this for time immemorial on this program, when you have a mix of public and private schools in a league, and that's what clearly the Summit League does, there are always diverging things that are important to the said school. What's important at Oral Roberts is not necessarily what's important at North Dakota State, or what's important at South Dakota isn't going to be as important at St. Thomas. We've talked about St. Thomas, who were blue in the face, and I'm the mindset at a decade from now, maybe shorter, they're not going to be a member of this conference. But if you're Josh Fenton, and Josh and I have been around the bend on talking about realignment and talking about membership, and frankly, every time we've had Josh on the show, that's been question 2, 3, 4, like what's going on with the league and membership. This is now front and center, where you've got teams that feel like they are not loved, and already teams that have left. Kansas City has left, and I know they've come back. Oral Roberts left and came back. And that's what I guess maybe to the Summit League saying, hey, you guys left and came back to us, right? You needed a home. Oral Roberts went to the Southland and got their brains beat in baseball. But, well, okay, we'll come back to the Summit because we know we can dominate in that sport. Kansas City went to the WAC thinking, well, that'll be easier for us to make it to the men's basketball tournament. And A, travel sucked, and B, it wasn't. And now here they are, and they're still not good in either basketball. Obviously, they've hired Mark Turgeon to spend some money and think that's going to help things out there. To me, there's a image problem. There's certainly a messaging problem. And I don't know what the league needs to do about this. We're going to be in Sioux Falls in a couple weeks' time. To me, that's topic 1A of overarching over the league, that their television deal is up, their streaming contract is up, that has to be front and center, and I know they're not going to tell us anything. We'll ask, but they're not going to tell us. And then what in the world's going on with expansion? Because if Lindenwood and Western Illinois told you to kick rocks, who else is there to add? I mean, are you going to go begging back to Augustana? I don't think so. I think Augustana's made it probably known once the initial dalliance a few years ago. They put their eggs in the hockey basket. They're going to go with that. Chicago State, I mean, they just went into the Northeast Conference. Northern Colorado? I mean, I've been on the Northern Colorado train for a while. That was when Denver was there. Now that they're gone, I mean, Northern Colorado is an affiliate member in baseball and golf. I don't know if they're ready to take the leap to say, because remember, if they were to do that, they could come and put football in the Missouri Valley Football Conference as well. Either way, it does not sound appetizing nor appealing to me, but that's who else are we left with? Give me a school out there that would potentially be appealing to this conference. That's what we're talking about. Messaging-wise, it's just nothing out of the league office. And they're not going to comment ever on expansion. They will not comment on this. But like I mentioned earlier, why would Gary lie or be led astray on that? I totally believe that that's accurate. I know it is on the Lindenwood part. The Western Illinois part, I didn't know. And that's just not good. Western, again, was a member. Western was a founding member of the conference, and they left in 2023. And all of us, myself included, said, see you later. Western, certainly in football, was not up to snuff. Basketball had a couple of good years, but never really was in consideration of the top half of the league really ever, outside of a couple of years when Jim Molinari was the head coach, former Gopher assistant. Other than that, that was it. So if they're telling you to, we're good in the Ohio Valley, I don't know where else you do. And knowing you have current members that are not thrilled with where things are at right now, there's a lot of TLC that's got to happen here with the conference. Something we'll be following once we get to Sioux Falls in a couple weeks' time. Last thing before we set up the show, and we'll talk about more on this later on. Obviously, we knew yesterday, we chatted about Sac State's deal with the MAC. We got more of the particulars as the show went on yesterday and afterwards on Sacramento State's approval for the Mid-American Conference, which will start this upcoming fall. The $18 million is what everybody's going to talk about, and the amount of money that they have to pay the league to get in. There's a couple other of caveats of this as well that go into it, that they have to pay for the teams to fly to Sacramento. The MAC teams that are going to play in Sacramento, Sac State's paying for that. Now, the president said yesterday, and he tweets out stuff all the time, frankly, that seems completely out of left field and wrong, that there's some nearly $1 billion in revenue that can be driven in television from the MAC, which they have potentially the worst television deal out there. To me, that seems ludicrous, asinine, however you want to describe it on that. And I'm sure, and there was plenty of comments on this yesterday made from Grand Forks, Brookings, Vermilion. Well, apparently, hey, you can go FBS, just have to pay for it. They'll let anybody in. And my counter to that is that's not accurate because you have to actually have some sort of plan to go and do it. Sac State has made it known for the better part of 2 years. This is what they want to do. Come hell or high water, they were going to be FBS in 2026. Well, they have found a way to do it. And the high water didn't raise, they're going to be an FBS team in 2026. North Dakota State has made it plain that they wanted to be FBS. They had their plan, enacted it, found an opening, done so. Sac State went a different way. And clearly it was antagonizing to some, maybe ludicrous to others. The president said, obviously with how big Sacramento is, the television market that they're in, and they're in the state of California, that there are opportunities there that would afford them that others will not have. From the Yahoo report on this, there are other expenses beyond entry fees and compensating MAC teams for their travel. For instance, the school plans millions this offseason in modifications to its stadium to prepare for FBS play, including the creation of a new visiting locker room. That's not done. It's February. That's not going to be ready in September. Visiting suites for the opponent's administration, because you need that stuff. additional end zone seating and video boards. You're looking at games here. They have a track that's around the stadium. That doesn't scream FBS to me. I'm waiting for an answer on how many FBS stadiums have a track around them. I don't know many. That doesn't include millions in its own travel costs to ship its football team across the country at least 4 times a year for 5 years, likely at a cost of at least $150,000 a trip. And remember, part of this as well was a 5-year contract on it. So this is temporary because the Sac State's hoping, hey, we can show you it worked. We can show you we can pay for it. And then we're ready for the Mountain West to come get us or some other, like the Pac-12, somebody to come get us. That's clearly what this would look like on the outside. So that to me is where we're at with Sac State. And we'll have more on that coming up later on in our program. We got a packed guest lineup here on this Tuesday morning. It's brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Coming up in just a few minutes, Mike McFeely will join us at 9:35. We'll chat about Sac State. We'll also get into a little bit with the Mountain West touring today, what that will be like. Mike will be visiting with the commissioner like myself coming up later today. David Richman will join us at 10 o'clock. North Dakota State men's basketball head coach Bison, after a big win Saturday, no rest for the weary, right back on the road, leaving for Brookings, South Dakota. A date with the Jackrabbits coming up tomorrow night. The Bison trying to get closer to a Summit League championship. They have a 2-game lead with just 4 games to go. It's getting close here, folks, and a biggie coming up tomorrow night. And at 10:35, talking about biggies, we got that tonight here in town. Davies in West Fargo, Horace. Eagles head coach Bart Manson. We haven't had Bart on forever. Will join us to get us ready for a monster game to the Eagles and the Hawks coming up tonight at 7 o'clock here on Extra. He'll join us at 10:35. That and much more here on a busy Tuesday morning. We'll take our first break. We come back. I mentioned the hype train is going for one Cole Payton. We'll give you the lowdown on where the former Bison quarterback is at least being projected for the NFL draft. That's coming up when we come back. Don't forget, we've got our high school game of the week coming up tonight. Davies and Horace. We'll preview it coming up later on the show. I believe it's our final one of the year, and so you got state tournaments right around the corner. Coverage begins 7 o'clock right here on WDAY Extra between the Eagles and the Hawks. A little breaking news here to share before we chat on the Cole Payton deal. For those of us that are in tune with Major League Baseball, some, I don't know if shocking is the right way to describe it, but certainly stunning. Jeff Passan from ESPN reporting that Tony Clark, the head of the Major League Baseball Players Union, has resigned in the wake of the Eastern District of New York investigating into alleged financial improprieties at the union. Now, doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out, by the way, that the union is about to start negotiations with Major League Baseball because the current CBA expires on December the 1st. We've been talking about labor strife for the better part of 2 years, knowing full well that the union was never, and Clark was staunch against the union ever signing off on a cap. So if that's, now he's gone, it doesn't necessarily mean his next in line is going to say, hey, yeah, we'll definitely agree to a salary cap. But wow, that is major, major news for those of us that are following this. And I think baseball fans should be prepared for it, knowing full well I think everybody is preparing for some sort of labor stoppage in 2027. Now the head of the strongest union in the world, I will vouch for that. The Major League Baseball Players Association is the strongest union. They have never lost in negotiation. They have guaranteed contracts. They have gotten what they've wanted nearly every time when they've gone to – they canceled the World Series, right? The union would not cave. We lost a World Series because of it. And I stand to reason I don't think they were going to back down here with Clark running the show. So we'll see how this unfolds, but some big news this morning out of baseball. Tony Clark, the head of the Major League Baseball Players Association, resigning in wake of investigation into alleged financial improprieties at the Baseball Players Union. Crazy. I feel like we've been so heavy on Mountain West stuff that we're now full into draft chatter. The Combine begins a week from Thursday. North Dakota State will be represented twice over there. Bryce Lance is going to be there. Cole Payton, we know, is going to be there. And I mentioned earlier, the hype train has maybe already left the station for the former Bison quarterback. Jason La Canfora, former NFL insider with CBS, wrote a story yesterday on Peyton talking with some scouts. Says one longtime NFL executive who has studied the quarterback class closely says, I get why Fernando Mendoza is going first. He has checked every box and met every challenge. I don't think he's the best player in the draft, but he's a great kid and can handle the pressure that comes with it. I'd like to have seen it on a larger sample size of the top pick, but I get it. But I don't think this kid from North Dakota State is that far behind him. I really don't. 2 or 3 years from now, I think he can be there with Mendoza. We think he's gone early second round, and somebody probably shot on him at the end of day 1. Everything I've been telling you about him since November, people who are doing the work are seeing it too. This kid can play. Another longtime evaluator told La Canfora, he's QB2 for me. The more I watch, the more I like. I haven't had a chance to talk to him myself, but we hear he's a really good kid. I like his decision-making. I see above-average arm strength and accuracy. He has the body. I think he has a good left-handed release. He can run some. Yeah. It's not a good class at all, but he has some upside. Second round, but you know what that means. Somebody might want their fifth-year option, which teams get on first-round picks. Obviously, we know Cole had a great week at the Senior Bowl at the end of January. I think, and it goes without saying, we're going to have Cole on the show next week, that he's going to test unbelievably well at the Combine. There are just a few things he does like this, like run, that when he does a 40, that's going to be different. He told me the vertical when I talked with him down in Nashville, and he was very excited to do that particular drill, but that's some pretty high praise. Again, these are people that are in the know on what's going on. We'll hopefully also talk with Cole's QB coach as well, who's been working with him for the last few months, anticipation of the Combine and what's going to go into that. So there's some updated news there, but second-round grade on Cole Payton. And Bryce Lance, we've already seen being projected at the mid to late third round. That could very well change as well with a good Combine. So the hype train apparently has left the station on the former Bison quarterback. More on that as we get closer. A Combine for Cole and Bryce will be on the same day, February 28th. They'll do the drills in Indianapolis. We'll break. We come back. Our guy Mike McFeely waiting in the wings. Lots to chat about, from the Mountain West coming to town to Sac State moving to Maction in Tuesday Night Football. Hot Mike is back after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely. I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. All right, it's time for our weekly visit with Mike McFeely from the Forum of Fargo-Moorhead. Great to see you, bud. How you doing? Things good?
Yeah, don't ask about bowling. Yeah, everything's great.
I saw that tweet. I wasn't going to say it.
Just knock it off.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Why you got to be like this? Don't bring it up.
I'm not going to.
Boy, that was bad.
Your friend, Dr. Luke Wood, the president of Sacramento State, tweets out yesterday an estimated economic impact of $975 million and national broadcast value of $675 million over the next 5 years for Sacramento State as a member of Maction.
I'd like to tell you that my appearances on this program are worth 243 million page views on Inforum.com, and my economic value to WDAY TV is $347 trillion.
Are you saying these numbers aren't correct?
I'm not saying anything of that sort. I'm just saying that my value to this station is $347 trillion.
We'll just say immeasurable.
So if you want to just put numbers on things and just... We have somebody in the White House who does this every day. Now, Luke Wood is completely the opposite. Yep. Love the guy's politics, Luke Wood. I don't want to get into this on your program. But when you have somebody in the White House, just...
Numbers
Inflation is down 9,432%. So, I mean, that's where we are.
So what do we make first of the $18 million plus the 5? So it's $23 million at Sac State is saying we badly want to be FBS.
But remember, Dom, NDSU and Sacramento State are crazy for doing this. They're crazy. And do you know why? Because the magic college football fairy is going to wave his magic wand in like 1 year and say, any FCS program that wants in, you're in for free. And you can go wherever you want and play whoever you want. Because that's the way it's going to work.
Really?
Copium.
That's not accurate.
Where's that vial full of copium I can inject into my veins and make things up to make myself feel better because I'm getting left behind?
Man.
Yeah, that's the going rate.
Yeah.
It's the going rate.
Bison sound like they got a deal at $12.5 million now.
About that?
After that,
yeah,
you know.
That's right. Well, or as somebody pointed out on the Twitter machine, maybe Sac State hosed NDSU because they went to the Mountain West first and said, "Here's $15 million." And what was the number that started at for NDSU?
Oh, yeah, right, exactly. Who knows what it could have started at? That's exactly right.
And so maybe Sac State cost NDSU $5 million or so.
But obviously the Sac State president is out for this for 2.5 years. They've been talking. This is what they want. Come hell or high water, we are going to be FBS in 2026.
Very outward about it. And by the way, the complete opposite of North Dakota State.
Yes,
and Matt,
absolutely.
Matt Larson has made a point on this program and to me and to anybody who will listen. It doesn't matter what you're saying on Twitter. I'm not concerned with what if people feel they need to know everything we're doing. It's just not going to happen.
Yep.
Like we're doing things our way, and it worked out for both of them.
Yep.
I mean that's
one way. Both ways work.
Did you see the video this morning?
I did see that.
I'm not clear. Was that like when the announcement was made?
I don't know when it's from.
Yeah,
but it was from the league office, though.
No, I know, but because remember, Polsek said, the reaction from the Bison.
Yes.
He said, "I wish I would have had a video camera in that room." And I couldn't figure out if that celebration of Sac State was like at that moment or whether it was something totally different.
Yeah.
But it was just fantastic, just fantastic.
Now
If the Magic College Football Fairy came to me and said, "You are granted 3 wishes," the first 2 would be, number 1, that I would have any mechanical acumen at all. Like if I could change like a light switch in my house or change a spark plug in my lawnmower.
I'm with you there.
That'd be number 1 because if I have to change a light bulb, I'm calling the handyman. Hey, if you screw it in, clockwise? What do I do?
Yeah, you need a Johnson rod.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me 3 of those.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second thing would be that I would like to dance. Like those guys from Sac State were dancing. That was fantastic. I'd be watching that going, oh my gosh. College would have been so much easier if I could have danced like that.
What do we make of they have to pay the MAC teams to fly to Sacramento?
Yeah,
that's an interesting part of that.
That's interesting. And I had somebody message me and just ask, how are the MAC schools going to afford to fly to Sacramento?
That's a bus
because
league.
They have no money,
It's a bus
which is
league.
why they did this move. Is because they
$18 million.
And this person said to me, it's like it seems to me like they're making a short-term decision that's going to cost them long-term. Now, because of the travel costs.
Yes.
Now that was before we learned
found out that
Sac State's going to pay. Which, by the way, Hawaii, I believe, helps out the Mountain West schools as well.
Yes.
At least have in the past. I'm sure NDSU is not going to get that benefit. But, yeah, so that was a question. Geez, how is Kent State, which is just a complete disaster, a burning pile of overturned cars in the Philadelphia parking lot, how are they going to afford to fly 200 people out to Sacramento
on a Monday
to play on a Wednesday, whatever. And so that question, I guess, is somewhat answered by that.
Do you think they'll be any good, Sac State?
I think in the MAC they'll be fine. Yeah. I'm not going to say they're going to be some juggernaut in FBS football, but in the MAC, they're just fine.
The term is 5 years. I don't never heard of a 5-year entry, a 5-year deal. That's what they have. So to me, this looks like maybe this is a soft landing to something.
Oh, I don't think there's any question
them.
about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you and I have talked about this a lot the last 5 or 6 years, especially the last 3 years before the news of NDSU going to the Mountain West is at some point does NDSU just get into any FBS conference, i.e. the MAC or Conference USA. Just to be there.
Yes.
Just to be in the neighborhood. And because then it's obviously much easier to go from FBS to FBS than it is to go from FCS to FBS. And so I have to believe, again, there's a lot of sniping and snarking and ho, made by people thinking in the short term. I think there's a lot of things that need to play out long term here that then we'll see how this all goes. And I think if Sac State wants to be where they are, they paid a hefty price.
Yes, they did.
But if they can someday get into the Mountain West or the Pac-12, which doesn't seem real right now, but who knows what it's going to look like in 5 or 6 years. We don't know that.
The commissioner is here today, and assistant commissioner for the Mountain West Conference are touring NDSU and Fargo. What are they putting on their back? They shine the dome up a little bit for Gloria's appearance today. What do you make?
Yeah, hopefully she doesn't walk in the dome and go, oh.
We're going to visit with
dark in here.
with Gloria later
today. Where's your
today.
sweets? What's like? Where do you bring in the jing here, guys? And then Matt Larson could say, "Let me tell you a story about the voters." Of Fargo.
Yeah. What do you want to ask the commission today about her trip here?
I think more on some of the stuff that I've been tweeting about loudly the last few days to some of my friends in South Dakota and in the Grand Forks area, which is
that's a good point.
Which is like, what's this? Like, is the college football magic fairy is there gonna be that point for these other schools to get in? I think I already know the answer.
Yeah. The breakaway.
Right?
We've heard about.
Everything's going to change when these teams break away.
Yes.
Are they? But I had the consultant who helped NDSU and Sac State, by the way.
Right, I saw the same consultant.
Yeah, Russell Wright of Collegiate Consulting out of Atlanta, Georgia. I actually asked him this question yesterday. Sent him a congratulatory note when I learned that he got Sac State into the MAC. Well, good for you. Yeah. I said, Russell, I mean, this is the what I'm hearing from other areas who are interested in what North Dakota State is doing. That the Power Four is going to break away, do their own thing, and that's going to open the doors for everybody to get into FBS who wants to, and it's going to cost them nothing, and they're going to be able to choose where they want to go, and the Magic Football Fairy is going to say, oh, and by the way, you're all going to be regional again. You're all going to be regional. Yeah. So South Dakota State, NDSU, UND, you're all going to play together again because I say so, and I'm the Magic Football Fairy. He texted me back and said, no, that's not. No, it's the $5 million fee or more is still going to be there, even if the Power Four breaks away, which he doesn't believe is going to happen until at least 2032.
Right, because the TV
because
contract
of the CFP TV contract. And then he said, when it comes to the conferences, he goes, they're still going to be charging fees to get into the conference.
Well, now the baseline is 18
and
mil.
And the price isn't going down. And so that's one person who said that. He said that's a common question for schools that I work with to try to get into the FBS because they want to know too. It's like, well, should we be doing this because all of our competitors are saying that we should just wait 2 years and he's like, no. It's he goes and he said nothing's assured, but I mean it's going to probably be 6 years,
right? And
then it's going to
not be cheap.
It's not going to be free to get in, and you're not going to choose where you get to go. It's going to be the same system.
All right, let's break. We come back. I found some comments I wanted to play that I did with Justin Sell, SDSU AD, talking about FBS. I want to react to that when we come back. We'll do that on the other side of the break and wrap up our first hour of Hot Mic. We'll do that right after this. Oh, boy. Welcome back, if they only knew in the breaks. Careful, don't spill that water, man. Holy cow. Dave Richman going to join us here in about 10 minutes' time. Bison, South Dakota State. You were up in Grand Forks on Saturday.
Yeah.
That was a rock fight for a bit, then the Bison got things going in the second half.
Yeah, it was. And this is what you asked me about, but I'm going to bring this up, is it just, and I'm old, and so I remember the old days, but there's just the rivalry, nobody cares anymore about that. I mean, I think they care in Grand Forks, but I don't think like Bison fans are like going crazy or the team is going crazy because they're playing UND. Yeah. And part of that might be that like each team has like 9 new guys
Correct.
every year. So there's no history.
Continuity.
There's no if familiarity breeds contempt. Yep. There is no familiarity between NDSU
so there's
and
no
UND.
contempt. Yeah.
It's just sort of another game.
Correct.
And it was a nice crowd, but they've been getting nice crowds. They outdraw NDSU, which is an embarrassment for the city of Fargo and Moorhead that the basketball teams here are getting outdrawn by almost every other Summit League school, by the way. Although the Summit League doesn't sound like it's really on solid footing.
We talked about that earlier in the show. Things are going great there.
Things are going great there. Yep. Omaha is just openly saying that we want out.
And they got Western Illinois said thanks, but no thanks about coming back.
But that might be a blessing in disguise because with the new rules, or the new agreement rather, like if Lindenwood or Western Illinois would have said yes,
football's coming back.
Western Illinois football would have been back in the Valley.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's another reason why they said no.
Yeah.
Like they don't want, why would we do that? The Ohio Valley is a much more comfortable place for both of those. But think about that.
I know.
That if what the play-by-play voice of Omaha said was accurate, and I have no
why would he be
reason
wrong?
to believe that he's not accurate.
Yeah.
The Summit Leagues is asking Western Illinois to get back in the league because they need a cushion because the other 4 schools are already pissed off about the Dakotas getting all the love and all the...
And that scheduling thing that came out last week didn't do anybody any favors there. No.
It did not. No. And if there's any spin from anywhere else saying, oh, that's just the Fargo media, it is not. I can tell you that I was in contact with 2 people from other schools that are not in the Dakotas after that scheduling alliance came out, and they were displeased.
In the dark,
to say the least. Well, I mean, it didn't come through the league. Let's make that clear.
Correct.
It did not come through the league.
I said that earlier.
Not a Summit League thing. It was the schools themselves worked it out. But the other schools were not happy that they all need games.
Yes. And that's the biggest thing about it. If you don't have, they're dying to get non-conference games on the schedule.
And so anyway, you asked me about the game. Yep, it was NDSU's the best team in the league. Them and St. Thomas are the two, clearly the 2 best teams in the league. UND, kudos to Paul Sather for the job he's done. I had not seen UND in person until that game, and I know they're missing a guy, but they are not particularly athletic. They're not particularly big. And they have they're going to end up winning 10 games. I think,
they're going to finish 3rd in the league. Yeah.
And so I've said it before. I'll say it again. Give the guy his extension.
Right. What are we doing?
If you can win 10 games in Grand Forks with that collection, I'm not knocking them. They're good Division I basketball players, but they just don't match up to the athletic bigger teams like NDSU. And so he's gotten more out of what he should have probably. Yeah. And NDSU should win the league, and Dave Richman needs to know that right now before he comes on. So tell him that.
I will.
So St. Thomas is good.
That game next week, they got to go to St. Paul.
Denver's coming on.
Yep.
And UND, again, has shown they can beat
Omaha's
teams.
in the mix, too,
UND won at St. Thomas.
Yes.
And so there's no, it's a one-and-done thing. Omaha's playing better. They think they have a shot at winning this thing. And so Sioux Falls is going to be fun. So there's no guarantee that either NDSU or St. Thomas is going to win the thing.
Now, we've been dealing with South Dakota State fans online for the better part of the last 10 days, maybe longer.
I got a little bored on Sunday, and so I decided to make some friends on Twitter.
Well, you do such a nice job at that.
I know.
I found an interview I did with Justin Sell at the Summit League basketball tournament, ironically enough. This was March of 2023. We have that up in the corner as well. So things have certainly changed.
Yes.
But I did ask him, we're going to play it now, 2 questions on SDSU and FBS. Brody, go ahead and play it.
The overtures are loud in Fargo about FBS. Have you had those discussions with your president? Where do you stand about South Dakota State and a potential FBS move?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, we're in tune with NDSU. They've been such great partners. They're great friends. Obviously, we all need worthy rivals. They challenge you to get better, and I think that's NDSU for us. We're proud of that relationship, and I think given our geography and types of schools, land-grant schools, it makes sense for us to certainly be thinking thinking about things together. But, the other thing, and I've said this for 14 years, these are hard enough jobs to make sure you are really good on your own. And the focus on being able to do that so you are wanted no matter what happens.
Do you believe, in your opinion, you would need to be paired with NDSU to make a move like that? Would that benefit both you guys if you went together, like you went together Division I?
Yeah, I just don't see how we can't be playing everything with NDSU. We need to compete with them, against them. No. Those are the best venues. You walk in, every sport, every time, they're full. People are interested. They're engaged. They drive eyeballs to TV. We challenge each other. We always say you got to be careful what you wish for. I mean, we'd have to get better. And I think in doing that, when
and more money, by the way, too.
A lot more money. And I think, and hey, donors get challenged. I think those have benefited probably both our programs. And in doing that, then you can meet those challenges, whatever they are, is whether it's competing now and winning more championships. And for NDSU and us, it's interesting. Those games are really important, as are most of the league games. But our goals are to win games in the NCAA. I mean, it's beyond. We certainly want to beat NDSU, but it's more because they're in the way of that goal.
Correct.
And I think NDSU would say the same thing. Absolutely. And that's the difference with our two schools across the board, and why we probably should be together.
All right, what do you make of that?
Yeah, and Justin said something similar to me. I talked to him when they played in the title game in Frisco after the 2022 season.
That's January. That's 2 months before that conversation.
Yeah, and he basically said the same thing. He said something like, "I just couldn't imagine us not being in the same conference."
Yes,
and things change. I mean, they just have changed so much in the last couple, 3 years. But I think what that says is he sees the importance of having that competition between the football programs and between the athletic departments overall.
Yes.
And I think for the most part, it's been healthy. I think it's gotten a little nastier off the field with the fan base just being more bitter and odd, I think, from South Dakota State the last couple of years, especially since they won a couple titles. It's got like, okay, that's weird. But that's fans. They're all weird. But what I guess what that tells me is like, he'd like to be with NDSU.
Yes.
But I'll go back to the same
how
thing
we started the conversation
that I said, which is instead of directing angst at me for being a smartass on Twitter, direct your questions at him. And I don't mean in a mean way.
No.
There are legitimate questions to be asked of the athletic directors at these other schools
of what's
that
the plan.
Whoa, NDSU's going. And they're fair questions, and the answers could all be fair too.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah.
Maybe Justin Sell's answer now, from what I read with Matt Zimmer's articles, like we're happy where we are right now.
Okay.
We mostly sell out the building. We'll see how that goes long term. But we're happy to compete for national championships. And okay, that's a fair answer.
That's
a fair answer.
Yep,
I have no problem with that answer. Yep. But don't get mad at me because
give the answer. Ask the questions. Yes.
I mean, if you're a fan, say, but like, are you ready to go if
the
somebody
phone calls? Yep. Don't know.
Fair question.
Yep. Good to see you, my man.
Yes.
We'll talk to you later. Mike McFeely joining us each and every Tuesday at 9:30. We'll break. We come back. David Richman will join us, NDSU men's basketball head coach. Bison, get ready for a trip to Brookings. They got the Jacks coming up. We'll preview that when Hot Mike Hour 2 starts right after this.
This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
I think just like Dom's outfit, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they're really ugly. But just been all over Amazon and just about every site looking for these mustard pants. And
my wife will tell you, she must have burned mine.
People actually listen to your show.
They watch.
They watch it.
Yeah.
Play defense in that first half like Dom transitions to you after the game. It's way too long, way too lazy, but you got all these answers. I'm going to bring you over and have you do our non-conference schedule.
I'd love to. I'd love to go to Grand Canyon,
I would
man. Hey,
well, you can come with. That's not the thing.
I love when you're on Dom. You're so transparent. And I'm like, so two things are happening. That one, people are watching your show, listening.
Yes.
Right? That caught me a little off guard. I'm just being honest.
All right, it's Tuesday at 10 o'clock, which means we visit with North Dakota State men's basketball coach David Richman. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. The first-place Bison have a date with South Dakota State coming up tomorrow night. Wednesday game, the final 4 games of the regular season are here. I have an email to ask you right off the hop. Are you ready? This is a pretty good one. Dom, could you ask Dave what his challenge record is this season? Have you won every challenge so far this year?
No, we didn't win that one at the end.
Oh, I forgot the one at the end.
I don't know.
It's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. We got to get that stat now. Like, you have every game you put your record up, your coaching record. We got to put the challenge record up next to that now. What do you think?
Yeah, get a graphic for that as well. It'd be good.
Congrats on the win Saturday. I know you're already looking ahead to tomorrow, and I guess let me start with that about the quick time on this. Hey, we won Saturday, right back, got another big road game tomorrow night.
Well, I do think it's important that, we understand, we talk a lot about investment, right? Or we've really hit on that this week when, what is it? 5 guys are back from last year and only a couple of those guys played last year. And do you understand rivalries? And it's really important that you understand rivalries because of the environment that you're going into and some of those things. And so I'm obviously very encouraged by the way we handled, rivalry number 1 here this week or Saturday, so to speak. And we need to understand, tomorrow night's going to be, every bit of that as well. And this is a very good program, great organization. There's a lot of history and tradition behind Jackrabbit basketball. Clearly they haven't had the season that, maybe they were obviously hoping for or their expectations have led them to. And that's my job right now is to make sure that our guys, are they just staring at league standings or do they understand what's coming? Is it, the NDSU, SDSU? And, but that's my job to have them prepared for those things. And now I will say this, I do think there is also a joy and a fun, when you have your backs against the wall, so to speak, and you go into one of those environments, our guys relish in those things. And we did it at Omaha, at Denver. Clearly on Saturday, at North Dakota, we're getting everybody's best shot, including the marketing's best shot too. And I expect nothing other than that tomorrow night.
I know you mentioned this in the postgame press conference Saturday. You've won 9 road games. You discussed that and how tough that is to do in major college basketball these days.
Yeah, I did. I mean, people just think no matter what, you just win games and that's it. And that's fine. That's the choice of the chair that I sit in, and the Monday morning quarterbacks and can always judge, and it's so easy to judge on the outside looking in. But just in general, there's a lot that goes into anything, and so winning a college basketball game is extremely hard. And then you take your show on the road, so to speak, and winning those are even harder. There's an environment, there's a change in circumstance, there's a change in rhythm and routine. And we all become creatures of habit and doing those things. And when those are broken a little bit, it's different. And but again, it's everywhere and it's simple. Tim talks about compete, improve, tough. For us, at the end of the day, it's tough / and I always say that / and I say that because it's just a bold line that just sets the tone of we are tough and we're together. And I think there's 2 things that really define that, and that's your rebound margin. And I think that's road wins. And to be a great team, like I feel like we are right now, you got to go and you got to win some road games. And we've done a tremendous job of that thus far.
I mean, here we go. I'm going to inflate your ego here, but I'm looking at the Big Ten right now. Big Ten's all right in basketball. Nobody has won 9 road games in the Big Ten. Granted, they don't play any road games outside of conference games. But
they only play road games in league play. All those things. They have the Dom Izzo budget where they just beg everybody to come to their place and.
But you get my point.
Jet around
but my point is,
their clothier comes to their house and shows these yellow mustard pants and all these things. But no, I mean it. And we celebrate them, and we should. We're very, very proud of. I mean, we won 21 games already, and 9 of those, and I think it's right behind maybe Belmont. It's a terrific mark, and it's a credit to our guys of embracing those environments and really relishing them. And of all the things that are transactional, there's an experience factor, and there's a real compose factor to our guys. it's been fun to witness.
Was there a great halftime adjustment speech you made on Saturday, or what was the difference that the team scores 53 points in the second half in your mind?
No, honestly, there was no adjustments. Like for me, what I'm feeding off of is a vibe and energy. How well we're competing. We talk about our attitude, our effort, and our trust. And I really thought in a lot of things, Dom, like all those things were on point. We were playing pretty hard. Mm-hmm. Our attitudes were good for the most part, and we were trusting our process. We got some great looks, and so I said, "Hey, I'm great. I can coach this team. You guys maintain this, and we'll settle into the environment." North Dakota. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're the old Arkansas of Nolan Richardson, where they're 40 minutes of hell and anything like that, but how they play is very different than a lot of teams in our league play. They're trapping ball screens. They're really aggressive, on the sidelines. And so you can simulate those things a little bit, but not to that extent. And then you throw in that environment, like I've mentioned a couple times, and I think it just takes a minute, to get used to those things. And our guys did a great job. We came out of the gates, and I thought Luke Strage did a really good job of organizing ourselves offensively, and defensively, I thought we were just rock solid. If we kept them out of transition and off the glass, it was tough to score on a Saturday.
Andy Stefanowicz, Dave, 5 of 5 from 3-point range, 6 of 7 from the field, 20 points. Describe what he did Saturday, how big that was. Obviously, it's readily apparent, but 5 of 5 on the road, man, that's really darn good shooting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I got asked that question in the postgame prep, and it was Saturday. But if you like you are, and you know this, and he's been doing it quite frequently lately. I mean, he's just been terrific, and there are. I love practice, and you're getting better in practice, and you're building habits, and you're learning the opponents and all those things. But then there's gamers, and fortunately, we've got some gamers, and Andy Stefanowicz is a gamer. He won a state championship. And he's just always playing. And there's so many basic things that lead to success. There really are. And I think there's all these, glamorous things that people think we need to do in the style. But the old follow your shot that you learned, or, in third grade, can you see ball you man, and you got your pointers out, and you're doing these things. Well, the other one was dribble with your head up. And Andy Stefanowicz's head and eyes are always up. And so that makes him a complete basketball player. He's going to find you if you're open. But, you talk about a vision for life. You talk about a vision for your program. Well, that vision is outward looking, right? And that's what Andy's doing when he's playing the game. And his eyes are up. They're on the rim. And clearly, let's call it what it was, too. There's a young man that does understand the rivalry of up north. Yep. There's another young man that's playing against, a friend and a former teammate. And Andy's probably a lot like me. If I'm playing my father, I probably want to go and get him a little bit more than somebody else too. That's just the way we're uniquely built. Because you're going to see that person, and it's nice to you don't have to say anything, but they know. And certainly Andy was terrific on Saturday.
It almost seems we could do this almost every week when we talk with you about. We had a montage yesterday or a show here of Markai Strickland dunks, especially in the second half of. Is he the best, since Trayvon Wright? Trayvon was, when he was up, was his waist was even with the rim. It seems like that's where Markai is right now, dunk-wise.
Yeah, Freddie Coleman and I have talked about this a little bit because Freddie's seen some of our games and some of those things. You can debate these things a million different ways. And I think what Freddie and I were both in agreement was, Trayvon maybe got a little bit higher, maybe floated just a little bit, it seemed like. Markais are just so quick and powerful,
ferocious,
and they're and again, old crusty Dave, right? At the end of the day, that's a box score. It's 2 points, but those aren't just 2 points. Those are loud 2 points. There's an energy behind it. Our bench was feeding off of it. Man, those are really exciting plays by a big time human, by a big time athlete.
Especially in the first 3 minutes of the second half, Dave. How much did that swing the game in your mind that you guys came out and Markai did that to start the first?
Yeah, I do think, like I said, I do think the game. I felt fine. I really did, but I still think by the score, it's waffling a little bit. It's going back and forth and. when you come out and you do those, and some of them were one or two of them were and ones, those are demoralizing, and it takes the crowd out of it, brings our energy. Again, there's a lot of things that goes into it too, but those are, I think those were worth a few more than just 2 points. That probably led to some of the momentum shifts, obviously, down the stretch in the second half.
All right, let's break. We come back. We'll preview the game tomorrow night. Bison are heading to Brookings to take on South Dakota State. NDSU with 4 games left in the regular season. We'll get a look at the Jackrabbits and the Summit League standings when Dave comes back with us on the other side of the break. Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike rolls on here on this Tuesday morning. Bart Manson, Davies boys basketball coach, join us about 15 minutes. Dave Richman back with us as Bison men have got South Dakota State coming up tomorrow night. Bison beat the Jackrabbits way back when, middle of January. It feels like it was about 2 months ago. SDSU is where they are. People are going to see them in the standings. I know we talked about it a little bit briefly in the first segment, but this is still a talented team. And you know what? You guys are coming. It's the Super Bowl that's going to be down there tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to this winning thing that we talk about, where like people will look at the standings and Bison are going to go down there and they beat them before and you're going to win. Like it's not even close to that simple. And I do think part of it is just there's the rivalry, there's where we stand in the records, and then I think the big part of it is this is a team. Let's not forget that has a bunch of continuity, experience, guys that have had a lot of success, at different points. And so, the others can think what they want to think. I know where I'm at, and it's just on my radar. We need to be great today in practice. So, we're prepared for what's going to be a complete dogfight tomorrow night.
Everything's right in front of you, David. I'm sure you don't have to remind the guys about that, but knowing, okay, you have 4 games left and who they're against tonight. Obviously, I can do this. You can't. Kansas City on Saturday, then St. Thomas and UND. I mean, this, if you don't need to grab anybody's attention, I mean, this is it with the 4 games and who you have left.
Well, and I think, to be honest with you, like this can be a blessing for me as the head coach, meaning this is a group that's unique in a way where they love the challenges. And so, are you content this time of year of just being a good team and then transitioning kind of into March where, because of who we're playing, because of where we're playing, and because of some of the things that, like you said, like going back to our last game of the year, we were just talking about this UND at our place should be a juice environment. Some of those things can then elevate your energy, your effort, your attitude, and your trust. That we talk about it a little bit too. And so, it's my job. I'm going to prepare them. We're going to talk about these things. But Damari, Noah, Travion Carson, like we have some guys that understand, opportunities is what we've talked about a lot about, and we can put rings on our fingers. And I think there's sometimes that you have to say something that clicks with this generation and guys. And but the only way we do that is if we're present in each and every moment and do some things like that too. So clearly we have some special opportunities in front of us, but we have to understand the magnitude of each of them and how others view us. South Dakota State views us as a rival. Kansas City's going to come in here with absolutely nothing to lose.
Correct. Yep.
And then you go to St. Thomas and they want every bit of us, for a myriad of reasons. And then you turn around, you play your rival again. So, what can we control? We're going to control what we can, and that's getting better today.
All right, shame on me. I haven't mentioned, you mentioned Travion Carson. His stat line, David, on Saturday, 9 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. He was hunting for a triple-double. He's nibbling around at that. But that's his line all year. I hope the voters, and this is on me as I'm a voter and recognize that what his value has been. It's because it doesn't eye pop, but every single stat is stuffed with what he does in a game when you win.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. It's value. It really is. And so many. We want to label somebody all the time. We want to come up with this label, right? Mm-hmm. And he's this great scorer. He's very talented, or man, this guy can really And I have the ultimate compliment for TC, and I'm going to label him a winner. And he makes winning basketball plays. And you talk about him, and again, I could go down the list of, Markai having almost a wide open layup, passing it out to him. Emil did the same thing, passed it out to Damari for a 3. We had 20 assists. We had 20 assists this time of year in this generation of college basketball. And I am very, very proud of that. Very proud of that. Like we talk about, it's amazing what can be accomplished when no one cares or gets the credit. And I said it. I said it to the guys because I know conversations. And here goes me, talking about this transparent, transactional time. I said it to the guys the other day. I said, at this point, guys, you are who you are. Like there's not this like you're going to have this number or that number, and you're all of a sudden your value in other terms is going to change. Like enjoy this opportunity of what we can accomplish as a team, and how you can get everybody else involved. And I mean, you can kind of see some heads going, yeah, that makes sense. And it really goes back. It's all of our guys. It is, Dom. They're all great. But when Andy and TC have the ball in their hands so much of the time, and they're getting others involved, like. Look at how fun that game of basketball is. Emil Skuta, like there's a guy that is very individually talented. Okay, can go by and get to spots. He's physically strong and athletic, but hasn't done a whole bunch of winning.
Yeah.
And now he's embraced a different role and learned to become a better basketball player. And he's making those plays and he's winning. He's having fun doing it. It's really cool to see.
You rotation where you're at with the guys you're playing. When did you feel like you had, this is what we're going to roll with? I know we talked about it maybe month, 2 months ago about trying to figure out when did you feel comfortable those were the 8 to 9 guys we're going to go with every game?
Yeah, I mean that's the good problems that I've been fortunate to have a little bit. At the end of the day, believe it or not, I'm a really nice, caring guy, and I care about everybody. And but there's also what's right by the program.
Yeah.
And just playing 9, 10, sometimes 11 guys consistently, I just don't think that's fair and right to if we're going to go down the stretch and who we're really going to sink our teeth into. So we've settled into this pretty much like 8.5, man rotation. Riley Massey in certain time scoring situations is still a part of this, but Max Marley was kind of in there, and then he got banged up a little bit. He will be active, on Wednesday, but just this time of year, it's just really tough to get him back into the flow. If circumstances present themselves, right, wrong, good, bad, like Carson Smith is still a very viable option for us. But we are, like, again, I think to a certain extent, it's my job to, narrow that into that funnel as we go down the stretch and, feel pretty convicted on where we're at right now.
Email comes in, asks Dave, now you've seen everybody because you hadn't played UND prior to Saturday. How talented is the league? Is the email asking. That's a pretty bare bone question there. What do you make of the league talent-wise in 2026?
Yeah, I think there's very good teams. I think there's great coaches. I hate this because you're taking away from some of the guys, and in particular some of our own guys. Is there the sheer talent across the board that we've experienced for how many years? Yeah. Just because of this day and age and our level getting plucked so much. I don't know I don't know. Like, again, I think this is a hypothetical. Like, I don't know if this is a little bit of a water cooler conversation. But I do feel like that, like this time of year, I've said it to Freddie Coleman and I were talking about it too. Is I think you're going to experience some teams in the non-conference, have some very interesting records.
Yeah.
Even in league, have some interesting records to start because they're brand new teams and they're figuring out who they are. And then when they get into league, they got to figure out who they are against peer institutions. And so you're seeing some schools like Denver, Denver pick up a little bit. I think Omaha is extremely scary. And you can go down the list a little bit too. So I hope we're not the best version of us yet either. I hope there's better out there there has to be better out there for us too. But I do think long-winded to that, you're going to see some teams at this level, not just in this league, but this level really grow throughout the season and also a little bit deeper into league play.
Last thing before we let you go, just being another really good year, won 21 games, mentioned 9 road wins. How much more? This is so simplistic, so I apologize, but how much more fun is the job when the team is this good? You got a chance to maybe do something in March.
Yeah, it's a lot of, like I don't have a job, I really enjoy what I do and I'm around tremendous people and, but it is, you go and you go to practice and there's a spirit before practice. Once we're done with practice, there's a lot of guys still in the gym and shooting and I'll pat myself on the back for paying attention to success around. And you listen to Signetti talk a lot about being efficient and in and out. And, keeping, Brad Stevens, clear minds, fresh legs. And so I try to emulate those things as much as possible. But at the end of the day, I'll bang the table, and we have a very, very, not perfect, but we have a very good plan on who we want to bring into, our family. And it is a family. And my daughters are playing JO club volleyball right now, and so I don't ever see my family this time of year. So if I'm not going to see them, I'm going to enjoy who I'm with, and very, very fortunate right now with our staff, our support staff, and then ultimately our guys. We're around a bunch of good dudes. None of us are perfect, but I'm a believer that our fun is leading to our success, but certainly at the end of the day, like, make no mistake, road wins and winning like that's some fun stuff.
And you got to go back on the road here for the game tomorrow. Safe travels, good luck, and we'll see you this weekend, okay?
Appreciate you, sir.
Dave Richman joins us, and every Tuesday his appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Bison and the Jackrabbits tomorrow night, and then don't forget, we got NDSU Kansas City men on Saturday. It's a split games for us. The Bison women will have on Thursday here on Extra, and the Bison men Saturday against Kansas City. We'll break. We come back. We're getting ready for the EDC game of the night. You'll see it here on Extra tonight. Davies and Horace. Eagles head coach Bart Manson joins us. Chat about the matchup. It's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget, we got high school hoops here on WDAY Extra coming up tonight. Davies and Horace, top two teams in the EDC and hoops. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock here on WDAY Extra. And I'm way overdue to have our next guest on to get ready for the game tonight. Great to have Bart Manson back with us, Davies boys basketball head coach. It's late February, which means the Eagles are surging to the top of the standings, getting ready for an EDC run and obviously a state tournament run out in Bismarck. First, it's great to see you. How you been?
I've been pretty good. I always kind of figure that about this time of year, you will be searching for an interview. And so I know it's getting close to tournament time when Dom's reaching out. And here we are about 2 weeks away.
So I'm doing some stats here. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the first time since 2020 that Mason Clabo is not on the Davies boys basketball roster? Does that sound about right to you?
Well, we've had really, about 9 years of Clabo's being on, going back to Jaden and Mason. So, it's been a long time since there's not been a Clabo on the roster.
I ran into him when we were in Normal. He's playing really well. Illinois State is 17-10 on the year. I know you talk to him all the time. How's the freshman year of Division I basketball going for him?
It's going pretty good. Obviously when you're a freshman, things are going to go up and down, but I've watched pretty much all of their games, and just watching and what he's been doing this year, I've just been very impressive, because it's not like, he played in high school where he's, you play differently in college, and he's really adapted well to the college game. And at first they were playing him a little bit the two. Now he's playing a little more at the point. And so he just building more and more trust with the coaching staff down there. And I just see his game just, continuing to take off.
And he's playing with the old man in Skunberg as well. That's a guy that you knew well, that you coached against forever. It's pretty neat to see two North Dakota guys playing down in the Missouri Valley right now.
It certainly is. And just, watching that conference, that conference is just, I always say, like, I can't believe that, conference is only going to get one team into the tournament.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. And, Belmont is so good.
Yes.
And, and then you got Illinois State, who is the preseason, top pick. And then Murray State's, there's just a loaded, heavy duty of 4, 5, 6 really good teams. And they went down to Chicago against, I think it's UIC.
Yep.
And that team is athletic. And it's really kind of disappointing for me that conference only gets one typically to come out of there. Belmont might be able to make it if somebody else would win the tournament, because they've had a really good year, which would be good to see.
Belmont's 24-4. Bradley's really good. You mentioned Murray, Jacobson, Ben's always good at Northern Iowa. That league is
they are,
good.
and I think they had a kid that might have been out for them for a while, and they lost like 5 or 6 games. But they're always very, very well coached, and so it's a very good league.
We saw SIU in person. They were up here. They're a good basketball team as well. The Bison beat earlier this year. You got a pretty good team. Tell me about your squad here in 2026.
Well, like we talked about, before, is that one of the things that, without, Mason obviously being around this year, it was going to be kind of a different crew of guys that are rising to the top. And, we had a couple key kids back from last year, Colton Rinke and Colin Williams. And so kind of coming in this year, we knew we were going to have some good size. We got Jack Wielding, who's also 6'8", and who plays quite a bit for us. And so, we knew we were going to have good size. It was just going to be about the guard play, just keep getting better and better every night. And so we were very, very, front line at the first, and now our guards are starting to pick it up and play well. And so I like where our team is headed. We still, have another week and a half here of some good teams that we're playing, and then we'll be in the tournament play. And then really from there, what I over just my year, getting the best route to go to the state tournament, but really you just want to get into the state tournament.
Well, the fight to be in the top four, you know this all too well. I mean, is the last couple of weeks more positioning-wise to set you up for ED? You want to be obviously in that one spot or two, but how much is that the last 2 weeks to position yourself for the EDC tournament?
Well, I don't know if anybody has a tougher schedule than we have right now. Our last 4 games were De La Salle Saturday, who is probably the best team that we'll play against all year. I mean, just athlete to athlete, unbelievable program. And then Horace tonight, Cheyenne on Friday, West Fargo. So whoever does our schedule, it's a little bit of tough little route here, but I really, it's a good way to kind of see where we're at headed in the tournament. Yeah. The downfall is that probably going to end up playing a lot of these teams again in another week after the season's done. So isn't
that your boss who does the schedule? Who does that?
It is. That's why I'm throwing him under the bus a little bit this morning.
We can throw Lenny under the bus. What's that? Well, but the thing is, you always play West Fargo to end the. I love that. You guys, I know you don't, but you play West Fargo the last game to get you ready for. Hey, we're going to see them again in a week and a half.
Well, yeah, and that's my point. Is that I like our last 4 games because they're going to be tough games to win, and we could go 0-4 in them, or we could go 2-2 or 3-1. And so it's just a matter of our team starting to play well and get us ready for tournament. And then you got 3 games in the tournament, and hopefully you get 3 more in the state. So
tell me about this Horace team that you've seen. Obviously, they had a lot of expectations on them. Bart, you've dealt with that before, and how they've played in this matchup you have on the road tonight.
Well, first of all, they got such a weird gym. I think they have the best home court advantage in the EDC. I'm not going to say the nicest gym, but the best home court advantage, because it's the only gym where you don't have anybody behind you. It's a brick wall because they're building this new gym onto it, right? And then the sideline to the on the other opposite where the bleachers are, it's a really small line. And so some kids will start dribbling and they're already out of bounds over there. So it's a weird dynamic. The color of the bleachers are kind of a little weird. And so they have a true home court advantage tonight. And obviously, they're a very talented team. They all can shoot it, so they stretch you out. And that's really becomes a difficult, kind of nightmare for, opposing coaches, because they just all can kind of put the ball in the hole and score it. And so they become difficult to guard.
You won by 1 the first time you played. Do you expect a similar type of game here tonight?
Yeah, I hope so. Last year we went over there at this time of year, and they absolutely, I think they had a record number of threes. I can't remember how many it was, but I think it was 18 or 19 in the first half. And so some nights, if you catch a team like that, then it's just a matter of kind of, bailing water and managing that at that point. And so hopefully they're not hot tonight, and we can kind of defend them and keep the game in an area where we just kept telling our kids in the end, last time we played it, we just got to have a chance. You got to have a chance. You can't play yourself out of the game,
How do you evaluate where 2A is right now? Obviously, the teams out west are really good. Century, Bismarck are really good. Your team is good. West Fargo, Horace, Cheyenne. What do we make of 2A basketball in 2026?
Well, I'll take our conference, for example. We kind of have a 2-tiered system, it seems like right now, where we've had, the top 4 teams who kind of have played each other. But I don't know if Red River, who might be sitting in 5th, if anybody 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 have beat any of those top seeds. And so I'm not saying that they can't. Those teams have continued to get better here as we get into tournament play. And there's some scary teams that are hanging on that could play you on a Saturday afternoon and beat you to go to state. But over the course of this year, that's the way it's been right now. It's been kind of top end and then kind of the middle to the end of those teams. Those teams are battling it out, and then the top teams have been battling it out. But Red River and South and North and Shanley and Central, who got their best player back, I'm sure I'm missing somebody in there, but they all have the capability of beating somebody on a one-game deal.
How scary are those that EDC play in the state qualifier game? You've been in them. Yeah. How nerve-wracking are those games?
They are super nerve-wracking because it's basketball, and you know how that can go. I mean, any day you can go out and the ball just doesn't go in the hole for you. And it's not like, I always tell our kids, like when the Davies football team just dominated the state because they could just say, hey, we're going to run it right here, and there's nothing you can do about it. And we're going to, and they just, because it's all about the line, and they just pushed, and they just, what did they have? Almost 600 yards in the championship game. And so it's just like, so basketball is not that way in some, aspects of it. And so anybody can beat anybody. It's five guys, and so it's always a scary game when you're in something like that.
All right, I got to ask you, I have not done this. I should have started with this, that you were the teacher of the year last year. How big a deal was that? First off, congratulations on that. How big a deal was that for you? Everybody knows you as basketball player. You could play, for people that don't know, he could play in his day. Coach, but you were named teacher of the year. How big a deal was that for you professionally?
Well, I think it just kind of, forever you just get known as a coach.
Yes.
And, and so this is the first time that you ever got known as of what you do for, about 98% of your salary, And so that was the biggest reward for me just over all these years of just maybe being recognized for some of the things that I do in the classroom.
That's great stuff, man. How often do you talk to Dad?
Not a lot, some of these games where we have not shot very well and poorly, I try not to communicate with him because I don't need to hear it from him either how bad we were that night. But, when they're good nights, then I'll reach out because then he'll have some good things to say.
Is it typically the same that you're hearing, or is it evolved in the years especially since he's been done coaching?
Well, this year it's been over the last couple of years. They spend a lot more time down in Palm Springs and stuff like that, and so they don't watch as much, and they're more busy doing more fun things than sitting and watching a game on YouTube.
So this year, States in Bismarck, would you say that's the best site, or Minot you like? Which one do you like the most?
I said this before, is I really like the system in Fargo.
Okay.
I don't mind the Fargo Dome. I really like the Fargo Dome. They've made some improvements to it. The best thing about the Fargo Dome that we don't get at any of the other facilities is the locker room situation. The locker room is great, and we get to keep our stuff in the locker room. We don't get kicked out of it, and so I love that about the Fargo Dome. And the Shack is obviously a great venue too, but the locker room situation at the Shack is a little bit different than it is at the Fargo Dome. The Visick Civic Center is just it's got more nostalgia to it than anything, of just all the state tournaments that have been held there, and they draw very well out west, and so that's always a fun atmosphere going out there and playing in there too.
This was great to catch up, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. Good luck tonight, and I know we'll talk in March, I promise, okay?
All right. I'll hold you to it.
Good to see you, man. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah. It's good to see you too. Bye.
Bart Manson joining us, Fargo Davies boys basketball head coach. Eagles and the Hawks coming up tonight. You'll see it live right here on WDAY Extra at 7 o'clock. We'll have complete highlights as well on our Sports Tonight with Riley at 10 o'clock. All right, we should break because we got some breaking Minnesota Twins news to share. We'll do that when we wrap up Hot Mic on this Tuesday morning, right after this. All right, wrapping things up. See our awesome drone shots that our guy Ben Becker got for us. That's great. Appreciate that. We'll get some different ones as well from around town. We're going to do that as we keep going forward. All right. This is wild. We got a double whammy of breaking news regarding the Twins. From Aaron Gleeman at The Athletic, reporting that Pablo Lopez has a torn elbow ligament and, quote, surgery is very much on the table, according to Twins general manager Jeremy Zoll. If surgery is needed, Lopez would miss the entire season. All I can say is, my God. I mean, holy cow. I mean, and I know where you're going to go because I immediately thought about it as well, that they should have traded him last year or they should have traded him in the offseason because now you've got your best pitcher is done. If you missed it yesterday, he ended a bullpen session early with what manager Derek Shelton said was a little bit of elbow soreness. We now know it's worse than that. He's 30 next month, through 2+ innings before shutting things down. He was going to pitch for Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic. Obviously, that's off. He's been the Twins' opening day starter for the last 3 years. He only threw about 76 innings last year with 3 stints on the injured list for hamstring, shoulder, and forearm issues. Was an all-star in 2023. Made 32 starts in each season. He's been durable. Prior to last year, he's made 32 starts. That is all you can ask of a starting pitcher these days. I mean, honestly, that's pretty darn good. First year, of course, was with Miami in 2022, and of course, then he was traded for the Arise deal in 2023 and 2024. 5-4 last year with a 2.74 earned run average. Won 10 games in each of the previous 3 seasons, capped by a career best 15 in 2024. And that's when the Twins started off great, and then the last 6 weeks, the bottom fell out of the team. So now, I mean, I don't even know where you go from there. I mean, certainly Joe Ryan now, if he wasn't your ace, is going to be your opening day guy. Bailey Ober certainly becomes a heck of a lot more important, but already for a team that I know what Tom Pohlad said yesterday, that they offered a contract to Framber Valdez, the great left-hander from the Astros, and did not sign with Minnesota. This already was a lousy offseason to begin with. Now, here we are on, day 3 of spring training, and your best pitcher is done. Or maybe your most reliable pitcher is done. That is awfully hard news to take. Then, this just came in, and this is on the television side of things, and this affects, frankly, friends I know. Main Street Sports Group, owner of FanDuel Sports, has announced the closure and permanent layoff of approximately 20 employees at their office in Minneapolis. This was expected with Major League Baseball airing Twins games. Happened yesterday in St. Louis as well. And that's awful. And we've talked about this, that the regional sports networks are going away. There's 6 more Major League Baseball teams that have their rights going to the individual franchises, like the Twins left Bally or whatever you want, Fox Sports North, that whole debacle that we dealt with for the better part of 3 years, and Twins TV began, and now they're shuttering. Who even knows what's going to happen with the Wolves and the Wild beyond this season. That's completely up in the air, but the announcement came today. They're closing their Minneapolis office in LaSalle Center and laying off 20 people. That's difficult. We've talked about layoffs in this industry time and time again. It's never easy, and layoffs in any position is never easy, but that certainly hits home there. I know a few of these people that work there, and thinking about them today, because it is a rocky time, honestly, in sports television, folks. And regional network television is really difficult considering where things are at. So, double whammy today for the Twins. Pablo Lopez done for the year, and the network that produces Wild, Wolves, and formerly Twins games laying off a ton of people. Really tough stuff there. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. Thinking about those people today. Again, don't forget, we've got high school hoops coming up tonight. We previewed it. Horace and Davies. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock here on WDAY Extra. We'll have a look at the EDC standings tomorrow after that one unfolds tonight in West Fargo. Also, Gopher Hoops. Stay up late tonight. They've got Oregon tonight, 9:30 on FS1 for that one as we near the stretch run of the Gopher season. Sweden and Latvia hockey. That's coming up at 2:10 on USA. The winner of that will play the United States tomorrow in the men's hockey tournament. And for those that are glued in, the biggest event of the Winter Olympics is the women's figure skating. That starts this afternoon, 1:45 on NBC. So if you're so inclined, you can check out that. That's on the docket here today around the sporting world. We got to roll. Thanks to our guest today, to Mike McFeely, to Dave Richman, and to Bart Manson. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Mount West Commissioner Gloria Navarez, John Sullivan, they'll be on the show tomorrow. They're touring Fargo. We'll hear from them tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.